Maintaining a firm grasp on current trends is now seemingly a necessity for businesses like restaurants due to the blistering growth of technologies that paves the way to the combination of current trends and technological advancements to give customers a novel experience in dining. Let me introduce to you the National Restaurant Association Show, which is the largest single gathering of restaurant and food service professionals, wherein 12 self-service kiosks was featured last 2017, as the ongoing journey of McDonald's self-ordering kiosks made an edge among other restaurants, as cited by Maras 2018. Now, focusing on stretching the horizon, sewn deep into the fabric of fast food industry, McDonald's Philippines launched their newest store format last 2018 called NXTGEN. Woven to the goal of elevating customers' dining satisfaction, NXTGEN subsumes three essential features: the split counters that divide the queue into ordering lane and into the claim lane, the guest experience leaders or the staffs trained to attend to the customer's needs and inquiries, and the self-ordering kiosks, which are large digital touchscreens that accept orders and payments, may it be in cash or in the form of card or mobile payments. Given the recent birth of NextGen, studies concerning its effectiveness to the customers were lacking. Moreover, especially here in the Philippines, there is little to no number of researches regarding NextGen. On the other hand, international studies focus only on self-service kiosks and not the store format as a whole. Rastigar stated last 2018 that there is still a need to investigate more recent kiosks to reduce the recall time of the participants. Ipso facto arises our study entitled McDonald's NextGen, exploring its effectiveness in giving elevated dining satisfaction among branches in Cavite. The endgame of the study was to describe the effectiveness of McDonald's NextGen in giving elevated dining satisfaction to the customers among Cavite branches and was sought to answer the following questions. First, what are the mean scores of the participants with regards to the three factors affecting their dining satisfaction? Second, what is the significant difference before and after the dining experience of the experimental and control group? Third, is there any significant difference after the dining experience of the experimental and control group? Technology Acceptance Model or TAM has been developed by Fred Davis on the year 1986 and was based on the theory of recent action of Martin Fishbane and Isaac Adsden on 1967. It is also the most widely applied and influential model of users' acceptance and usage of technology. It tackles about the possibility and prediction of a person's range of acceptability and adaptability on whether to use or not a new technology as a part of information system. TAM consists of two notable factors, namely perceived usefulness or PU, as being the degree to which a person believes that a use of a system will improve his performance, and perceived ease of use or PEOU as the degree to which a person believes that the use of a system will be effortless. In the emergence of new McDonald's store format NextGen, there are certain aspects that affect customers' decision on whether to use a technology or not. The idea of TAM is applicable to both customers and management, since the utilization of the said system can be free from efforts as what PEOU is about, while PU is most suitable to the guest experience leaders as one of our beneficiaries, since they are designated to a certain job specifically assisting customers on kiosks usage. The IPO or the input process output as a basis thereof was used to lay down the plan for the study. The input of the research was the evaluation of the participants' state of dining satisfaction before the intervention. Then, the customer's utilization of NextGen was the process of the study. Lastly, the output of the study was the post-test scores that resulted from the participants' post-tests.
For the methods and materials, Regional 2017 once stated that a research design is a plan that serves as a guide in collecting data and achieving the goals of a research. Thus, this study employed experimental research design in attempt to ascertain the effects of McDonald's NextGen as an intervention. With this design, there arises the independent variable, which is the McDonald's NextGen, while the dependent variable is the level of customers' dining satisfaction. As for the selection of the participants, we have used simple random sampling since each individual has the same probability of being chosen. Thenceforth, divided into customers who had experienced McDonald's NXTGEN as experimental group, and customers who have not experienced the said intervention. The pretest questionnaire was created by the researchers themselves with a 5-point Likert scale ensuing the certain validity and reliability tests, specifically fleece kappa reliability. We then utilized pilot testing to 10 participants and came up with two almost perfect agreement of 0.98 and 0.82 and a substantial agreement of 0.76 for the pretest, while the post-test got three moderate agreement of 0.41, 0.60, and 0.44. The three results correspond to the three chosen factors under independent variable, namely physical environment, service, and overall satisfaction. Afterwards, we then conducted our main study in some branches of McDonald's in Cavite for the experimental group and other fast food chains for the control group. Before handing the questionnaire, we presented an informed consent form signed by our research advisor who appraised the ethical consideration for research. The pretest questionnaire was administered when participants are waiting for their order, and with the presence of delayed time, post-test was then given. Subsequently, the analysis of data collected was through a one-way analysis of variance due to the presence of three variables mentioned before.
Moving on to the results and discussion part, we have here the table 1 that will answer the first statement of the problem and shows the mean scores of control group before and after the intervention. This resulted on physical environment having 3.2, service 3.33, and overall satisfaction 3.33 by using ANOVA single factor as statistical test. With this data, we can easily perceive that the service and overall satisfaction is considerably higher than the physical environment factor, deriving that there is no significant difference on the mean scores of control groups pre-test and post-test. For the experimental group, we have table 2 indicating their mean scores after the pre-test. The rounded off average for the physical environment is 3.27, 3.2 for service, and 3.07 for overall satisfaction. As for their mean scores after the post-test, we got table 3, wherein service got the highest average with 3.47. Next is overall satisfaction with 3.4 and physical environment with 3.2. On this, we can conclude that the results of the mean scores of the participants is that there is no significant difference even with the presence of the three factors affecting their dining satisfaction. Advancing to the table 4 and 5, which is now answering the second statement of the problem, on this we can see that the pretest and the post-test scores of the control group both obtained a p-value of 0.66, interpreting that there is no significant difference and rejecting the alternative hypothesis. Table 6 is about the pretest score of the experimental group. On this, the p-value is 0.36, having no significant difference and rejecting the alternative hypothesis, while the post-test scores acquired a p-value of 0.36, and since it is greater than 0.05, it is also being concluded that there is no significant difference between the post-test scores of the experimental group. Moreover, the results of both tests of either two groups bespeaks that the customer's dining experience before and even after the implementation of NXTGEN has no significant difference. Now, we have the last table, which is the post-test across groups. Therefore, this acknowledges the third statement of the problem. In this, we can see that the control group has a mean of 3.28 and 3.26 for the experimental group. However, with a p-value of 0.51, it is interpreted that there is no significant difference between the post-test scores of the control group and experimental group, thus rejecting the alternative hypothesis as a decision. Lastly, it can be concluded that there is no significant difference after the customer's dining experience of the experimental and control group. Grasping with the given results, there are a lot of factors to eloquently address by businesses in accordance to an intervention to avoid complications and failures. In fact, according to Bookspan 2010, McDonald's created on the year 1984 the McDonald's lettuce and tomato hamburger or McDLT. It has a double-sided styrofoam container to maintain the hot side hot and the cold side cold. Thereupon, Edwards 2018 stated that the product was dropped on the year 1990 due to the packaging's environmental unfriendliness and the part that it's on the customers to prepare their meals. For the recommendations, This study is highly recommended for McDonald's itself, as this will give them an additional advantage in strategical aspects and equipping them with ideas and plans to ameliorate NXTGEN. And since this study has limited variables, it is also hereby recommended to conduct a study centering the effect of McDonald's NXTGEN store format in relation to workload and performance of employees and staffs. In connection with the second recommendation, this study is also recommended for various fast food chains to immerse on new projects, improvements, and other factors affecting their business. Also, different fields of businesses can gather and formulate new ideas from this study to further make a new intervention intending to satisfy customers' needs and wants. Lastly, this study is strongly recommended for future researchers as serve as their guide and source, as this will further strengthen their work in relation to customers' dining satisfaction and McDonald's Next Gen store format. And here are the references used in our study.
And that concludes our research entitled McDonald's Next Gen, exploring its effectiveness in giving elevated dining satisfaction among branches in Cavite. Presented to you by Team Flexus from Accountancy, Business, and Management of Emilio Aguinaldo College Cavite, Senior High School Department. Good day.